The spring of the year always sees us eager to spruce things up a bit around the house, from doing some work in your yard and landscaping to just brightening up the interior with some throw pillows and that kind of thing. But there perhaps is no easier way to transform your space than by changing the paint. So lucky for us this morning, Ray Tavuchu is here. He's with Painter1 in town. Good to see you.
Good morning, Joy. Thanks for having me.
It's so fun for me to see this email that your group sent, kind of letting us know some things to focus on this morning.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because for most people watching, the idea of painting seems pretty basic, yet there are a lot of nuances to choosing the right painter to come into your home.
Of course. It is simple as long as you follow the steps in the process. You cannot skip a step. If you do, then it gets more complicated.
So what y'all do at Painter1 is pretty much, if there is a surface that a paintbrush can go on, you can do it. You'll do exterior, interior, brick, all of it.
Yes, we do interior, exterior, residential and commercial. It can be hardy board, it can be brick, like you said, but yes, if the brush goes on.
So I love always seeing before and after pictures. So these kitchen transformations, or seeing how you transformed that accent wall in this house. It is not only, you were telling me, the type of paint, but that you have to make sure you're painting it, you're using the right paint for the right surface.
Correct. So there are a lot of products out there. Great products, less expensive products. But if you want the highest quality, you have to identify the surface, and because the surface is going to define what kind of preparation you're going to do and what kind of paint you're going to use. But other important thing, you have to understand the expectations from the client. Sometimes location of the house is getting a lot of natural light. You may need to use a different product.
So with your painters at Painter1, if I were to call you and say, I'm looking to do some work with my trim, and somebody else were to call you and say they wanted to have a brick area painted, would you have different painters who are experts in different areas?
Great question. Yes, actually, not in that particular example, but such as cabinets. Cabinets painting is a different process. It takes different skill set. So everybody can do it, but doesn't mean everybody should. Yes, we have different crews for those kind of specific projects.
I think it's a little bit uncomfortable for some people, not always, when crews come into your home. So you make sure everyone is really vetted before you send them out.
100%. It is something that not just about hiring process. It's also about you trust them with your own house before you can send them to someone else's. And all my crews, I'm confident to give them any project at my house while I'm there, while I'm not there.
I had fun looking at the, you had a piano picture that you showed, and the piano became blue. I have a blue piano at my house that was painted probably 60 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when you do it right, it does stay.
Oh yeah, it does. And again, like the door that you see there, it takes a lot of prep work. And to get that after look, you spend quite a bit of time at prepping the door correctly.
So, okay, to that point, if it seems to be a simple project, an entry door, for example, they are going to have to be at your house for a couple of days, right? To do the prep work and then let it sit and then come back?
Correct. You cannot rush the process. If you rush it, you are skipping a step. You have to allow enough time for certain things to settle before you can apply the top product. Like that door, you have to, depends on the size of the door. It can be done in one day if it is a small door, but usually it can take about a couple days.
How much of what your team will do too is consulting with people? Because I have a difficult time sometimes making a decision. So I'll think I want something, but I would really appreciate it if your painter said, rethink this.
Well, that's the best thing. We provide free on-site estimate.
Oh, you do?
Yes, and so whenever I go there, most people paint maybe once every 6 to 10 years, and things change. You don't know what to ask. I mean,
that's true.
You just want to paint it, but you don't know the process. Whenever you don't know what to ask, you don't know what to expect. So, is this more educational? When I go to give an estimate, I ask a lot of questions. Do you want a ceiling? We don't assume you just want the ceiling to be painted. And I can tell you if it's not needed, I will tell you. It's in a good shape, you don't need to.
Right.
So it is going to save you a lot of time and money also.
I'm glad you mentioned the ceiling. So at our old house, I had an old house, and so I painted my ceilings, and I loved it. And I've read from interior designers before that everyone should have their ceiling painted because it can easily transform the room.
It can, and it's going to brighten up the room because it's white.
Right.
It's going to bring more light in it. That's true.
Okay, the kitchen. You had a before and after of a kitchen.
Yes.
So those can sometimes be trendy areas of your house, right? And people will want maybe an all-white kitchen, and the trend becomes blues or whatever. Can you do the work on cabinetry more than once? If you've painted your cabinets once, can you change the color again?
You can. You just again, it's the process. You have to make sure that you're going to prepare your cabinets that painted before, but before even you prepare, you have to know what kind of paint you put on, because you cannot put every type of paint on each other. They are not going to get along well.
Right.
So you have to make sure that you test the area before you paint to find out what kind of paint on it. Then you can define what kind of product you're going to use on that cabinet.
So with the kitchen cabinets or a bathroom, either one, are you taking the doors off and taking them to a shop, or is all that work done there at the house?
It varies. It depends on the size of the project. If we are talking about 2 doors, so we don't need to, because we can be done most likely a full day with a couple people.
Right.
But if we are talking about a big kitchen, we don't want to be at our client's house for too long. We don't want them to feel like we are taking too long. So we can take the doors to our shop, prep there, take care of them, and bring them back and put them on.
Right. Interesting to me that you mentioned the hardy board that y'all can paint.
Yes.
Sometimes people can put siding on their house, and the idea is that it's going to last, almost indefinitely. But the truth is that has to be upgraded too.
Well, anything that we use has to be upgraded and maintained. I mean, for example, the cars. I mean, we have tires, but we have to maintain them. We have to replace them eventually.
Yeah.
And the hardy board, nothing lasts forever.
Right.
I mean, you can put a metal roof, you still have to maintain. Hardy board is a very durable product, but you still have to take care of because of the rain, weather temperatures changes, and also the natural sunlight.
Right. So in terms of scheduling with you, especially if what you're looking to have done is outside work, this is a great time of year to go ahead and get on the calendar, right?
Yes, it is. It is the best time to call us to give you a free estimate. And even if you already have an estimate, we provide this as a free on-site estimate service.
Right.
We can go and give you a second opinion. So you can compare.
Oh, good point.
You can compare apple to apple.
Right.
It's not just the first contractor that you met you should hire. Just know the process.
You know what? He said when he sat down, I'm a little bit nervous because I've never been on TV before. And I said, well, we'll just talk. I don't think either one of us ever looked at a single note.
No, I don't think so.
We just talked.
We did.
I learned a lot from you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You can let him come and educate you. You'll be in trusted hands. He will give you an honest assessment of the job in front of you, whether it is a first assessment, an estimate, or a second opinion. Call them. You can also text that number. So 423-471-8684. You're welcome to go online as well, and that's Painter1.com, and it's the number 1 /Chattanooga pound. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.